There's no local newspapers here. We can pretend to be a local newspaper. They paid for it. It's really an ad, but it's not disclosed as being an ad.
Pink slime news. Remember when McDonald's got caught filling its hamburgers with pink slime to save money on real beef? That's what's happening in the news industry right now. Over 2,000 newspapers have shut down since 2004, but Americans are still hungry for news about the place they live. So to fill the vacuum, more than 1,000 faux news sites masquerading as local news have popped up, funded mostly by conservative think tanks and a few liberal ones, along with PR firms and whoever wants to influence you. I got beef with these pink slime websites. You should too. Stay tuned. Talk to us about how big this problem is and how we can prevent it.
Yeah, so it's the vacuums that we talked about. When the collapse created these vacuums, one of the forces that is flooding the vacuum are these pink slime websites. And pink slime is kind of a little bit of a catch-all phrase for a few different types of unfortunate actors. So you have political partisan ones, and they're basically saying, ooh, there's no local newspapers here. We can pretend to be a local newspaper and we'll be more credible, and it'll have all sorts of local news in it. But mysteriously, the articles about the member of Congress will always be positive about the member of Congress. And it looks very much like everything else is actually straight. And, so that's one kind of thing. And as you said, it's political money. So far, it's more conservative, but there's definitely some that's progressive. And my guess is the progressives are going to try to catch up. So that's one group. Then you have this group that's like, you mentioned the PR firms. It's sort of pay for play. And this is maybe non-ideological, but kind of nefarious in its own way, which is like you own a hotel, you pay the local news site to write a great article about the hotel, and it runs, but it's not labeled as an advertisement. It looks like an article. It just looks like the newspaper happened to do an objective story about how this is an awesome hotel. And it's not disclosed that they paid for it. It's really an ad, but it's not disclosed as being an ad. So that's like the second group or I think pay for play is kind of the way I think of it it's driven by kind of non-disclosed ad money. And those are like the two big buckets of these pink slime sites.
Yeah. And so there's these two buckets. Is there any ways that we can fix it?
On one level, if you go back to the vacuum metaphor, is we have to fill the vacuums with actual journalism and journalists. I think that's the most important thing, is to just get more local journalists out there. And there's lots of ways of doing that. There's lots of different formats for websites and public radio stations and for-profits and nonprofits. But the bottom line is more local reporters. And so the program that I run is called Report for America. And that's what our mission is to get more reporters out there. We have 315 reporters that we're putting in the field, embedding into local newsrooms of various sorts. It's kind of like a Teach for America for journalists, sort of little based on AmeriCorps and Peace Corps and stuff like that. And we have these great public service spirited journalists that we put in newsrooms, then we pay half the salary and the newsroom pays the other half, and then gets support from the community, from donations from the community to support it.
And you get a grant from the government like the Peace Corps, or you? No,
actually, that's a great. It's all private in our case, so it's all okay. So our national money, the part that we're putting in, comes from foundations and donors, and the Knight Foundation, Robert Wood Johnson, basically, and then individual donors, and then we put that into the local system through subsidizing the salary of a local reporter. And then working with that newsroom to try to become more sustainable, in part by developing a philanthropic arm to their organization. And that's the heart of Report for America. There's other interesting groups out there that have popped up just in the last few years that are doing peace. And so there's a very exciting world, actually, of new sort of social entrepreneurs that are trying to fix this system.